Playing as either Tsarina Katarin or Kostaltyn, you can actually win the supporter race, confederate, and have both legendary lords by turn 10. Which invocation should you choose first? The different invocations provide different in-game buffs, all of which are more or less useful, but if you're playing as Kostaltyn or as Tsarina Katarin, there's a trick you can use to make it a lot easier to win the supporter race and confederate the other lord. Each time you beat your rival in gaining supporters and reach one of these milestones first, you gain faction bonuses. Get to 600 and you get to confederate the other faction, completely absorbing all of their territories, armies, and their legendary lord. A fairly dirty exploit you can use to ensure that you definitely always win this race is as follows. Step 1, choose the Urson invocation. This will give you 5 supporters every time you occupy a settlement. Step 2, conquer some territory. You can do this trick with just a single region, but the more regions that you own, the more gold and supporters that you'll gain. In this campaign sent in to me by Ikit Claw, who told me about this exploit, Katarin's managed to conquer 18 settlements, which is perfect. Step 3, raise an army at every single one of your settlements. Step 4, choose a neighbor that you don't like very much, but you aren't currently actually at war with them, as long as they're not a Kislev faction, and that you don't have any diplomatic treaties with. Ideally, a weak minor faction that you can win a war with fairly easily. Then sell every single region that you can to that neighbor. If they can't afford to buy one of your settlements, you can always just manually increase the amount of money up to 2,000. That will actually put them in debt as well. If they don't want the settlement, but it's cheap, you can actually pay them to take it. If they don't have any money, you can just manually force them to give you 2,000 anyway, putting them further in debt, which will also make it easier for you to destroy them later on when you're at war with them. Keep selling all of your regions. Grab as much money as you can while you're at it. Now we've sold every single region that we can to the tree hammers, and we've got thousands of gold. We've only got a single settlement remaining, just our capital. Currently, we're at 207 supporters. You can see Ikit Claw's already done this exploit a few times, because he definitely didn't get to 207 by turn 10 by honest means. Then you just go around to all of your settlements that you've just sold, betray the tree hammers, and retake all of the settlements and reoccupy them. As long as you traded the regions to a different race, a non-Kislevite faction, all of the garrisons will be destroyed and you'll be able to instantly reoccupy them without a battle. Now up to 212 supporters. Just go around to every one of your armies and just retake every single settlement back again. I've reconquered all of our 18 settlements. Now we're up to 292 supporters. Step 5, choose another faction that you don't like very much. Austin looks weak. Just trade all your settlements to that faction. Bankrupt them while you're at it. Get more gold to feed your armies. Selling all the regions again will kick all of your armies outside of the settlements, but they should still be in the sort of 0 movement circle around the settlement so that they can actually move back in and attack immediately. And just go back around and reoccupy every settlement again. Next, we sell all our regions to Talabek land, then immediately declare war on them and retake all those settlements back again. Choose another hapless neighbor and do exactly the same thing to them. Now we're up to 547 supporters. For our last victim, we'll choose the Goromati tribe, sell them all of our regions, take all their money, put them in massive debt, retake all of our land back again. There we go, mission successful, political supremacy. And now we get the dilemma to confederate Kostaltyn. And there you go, you've confederated Kostaltyn by turn 10, got 151,000 gold, and you've got the other legendary lord Kostaltyn. Or if you were playing as Kostaltyn, you could do the same thing in reverse and use the same technique to confederate Katarin. Now, if you want to use this technique in a serious campaign, you need to be aware of a few things. If the faction that you're trading to doesn't have the same building types as any of your buildings, then if the faction that you're trading to doesn't have the same building types as you do, any buildings that you have in there that they don't have will be destroyed. Basic barracks and such will be okay, as they'll generally just convert into the other faction's basic barracks or similar building, but many buildings, including unique Kislev buildings, will definitely be destroyed during the trade. So don't build up your settlements too much before you do this. If you have any buildings that are in the middle of construction, you'll obviously lose the progress that you've made on that construction of that building. Regarding diplomacy, obviously Ikit Claw has been a bad boy. He's betrayed his allies numerous times, and now he's got very low reliability. But you can actually do this exploit and still maintain your trustworthiness, but you have to ensure that you do not have any treaties with your victims before you start, and you've not made a peace treaty or cancelled any treaties with them within the last 10 turns. Otherwise, when you declare war on them, you'll take a hit to your trustworthiness. Now, even if you can avoid destroying your trustworthiness, making so many gifts to factions will strongly affect your relations with any faction that likes or dislikes that faction that you're giving the gifts to. So you might suddenly find that a lot of your neighbors completely hate you now. You can see here, Clanferric's got gifts given to Crackadrak and Goromadni. They got minus 643 relations with us. So if this is a serious campaign that you want to play through, you're not going to willy-nilly kind of betray everybody around you and just get into endless wars and stuff like that. But you don't need to do it as hard as I did in this demonstration. You can just do it a little bit just to make sure that you're ahead of your rival a little bit at each juncture, or just to get a little bit of a boost at the start to make sure that they're not going to catch up to you in time. You don't necessarily have to go all the way to 600 on turn 10 and Confederate Kostaltyn straight away. However, if you do it earlier in the campaign, it's going to be a lot better in some ways, because you won't have built as many buildings, so you won't have to destroy as many of your buildings during the trades. Also, there'll be more sort of minor factions available for you to use as victims. In this campaign, we used the Treehammers, Talabekland, Ostlin, all these kind of minor factions that, 10, 20 turns from now, they're all going to be wiped out. If you wait too long and you still want to do this exploit, you're going to have to victimize big, powerful factions like Vlad, Azag. So there are some downsides to this, but if you manage it carefully, you can definitely get some really good advantage out of using this technique without getting too much of a downside. And of course, pretty much any problem that you might have can be solved by having 150,000 gold and just raising 10 armies to kill everybody.